It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Thursday, February 20th, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that is trying hard to compute Flyers practice starting up again with the Four Nations Faceoff championship game being held tonight.
Yeah, right now the NHL is dead to me.
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. I've been podcasting about the Flyers, the NHL, and hockey for a decade. I'm here with prospect expert and Flyers credentialed reporter for 19 years, Russ Cohen. To keep up with our latest episodes and Flyers news, you can find us at Locked On Flyers on all your favorite socials, and of course, here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, of course, still in Boston for tonight's matchup between Team USA and Team Canada. We've still got our poll going about that and your feelings about it. We're going to talk about the results of that poll and your comments on tomorrow's show. The link to it is in the show notes, plus it's on our YouTube channel, so you can find it there. We are going to welcome Matthew Blittner to talk about the Four Nations final tonight later in the show. Flyers are back at practice, though, Russ.
It's so weird. It's like I can't even pay attention to it. Like for people who cover practice and are there all the time, I get it. It's content. It's fine. Right now, it doesn't exist to me. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it's interesting because, of course, Bradshaw ran practice for the Flyers yesterday and presumably will again today. Maybe Rocky Thompson will take a swing at it. But I think that you know, with John Tortorella here as an assistant coach for Team USA, and of course the Travi, Sanheim, and Konecny with Team Canada, like the lines were messed up in practice, the defensive pairings are messed up in practice. So I think that, it's very hard to kind of assess where the team is after the break. But at the same time, I think it's a good thing because you have a practice like this just to get warmed up again after a longer break than the All-Star break would have been. I think it's a good thing for the remaining players.
It is. It is a good thing for the remaining players. And if these players play right away, if Sanheim and Konecny, they're not going to play the same minutes. You can't just force them in and put them into a situation where Sanheim's playing 25 minutes and Konecny's 20. You can't do it.
Yeah. Now we'll talk more about that on tomorrow's show because they're playing the Oilers, so it's going to be wild for the Travi to play with Connor McDavid on Thursday and
he's the enemy on Thursday. On Saturday. Yeah.
But so that'll be a lot of fun. But I think that, again, the key is to get everybody's legs warmed up, everybody back in practice mode and work mode, and then get some of the guys healthy that have been missing from the lineup as well. We saw that Ryan Poehling was doing some skills work in a non-contact jersey, of course, having suffered the concussion. I think it's important for him to come back slowly.
They should not be rushing him back with his history of post-concussion.
Yeah, and we saw Igor Zamula back at practice. Owen Tippett was back at practice. Rasmus Ristolainen was back at practice. Again, not everybody's 100% or, cleared to play, but I think that, it's just important to get them back on the ice and assess where they're at to see what the lineup could look like on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, they could have people fill in for their spots and just run the lines you want to run all otherwise, and maybe work on the power play. You got extra time. It's not like it's not like Sanheim really plays on the power play, and Konecny's not going to hurt the power play. So work on that. I would say work on that for the until the game starts.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to do. Of course, also Sam Ersson was absent from the first practice back. Especially after playing in that final game for Team Sweden, an extra day off could probably do him some good. So I have zero complaints about that, right?
No, he probably went to Chipotle and then chilled. That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the other interesting thing was that Jakob Pelletier is now officially he's good to go. He said he
Right.
could play. This was like his first practice since being officially approved to play, and so he said he felt good. He hasn't really skated with an NHL team in a full practice except for that once, before the
Yeah.
break, right? So it's been like 3 weeks for him, and he talked about being a little restless about it, but he's also rested and he feels 110% right now.
Yeah, it's just going to be a little clunky getting them into the swing of things because, let's face it, the Flyers coach has a few more demands than the average coach. So it's going to take him a little while to work them in.
Yeah, and he also said that he was able to connect with some of the players over the last few days as people got back into town
That's
from
good.
their vacations and stuff. So he felt pretty good coming into practice and being able to kind of gel with some of the guys there already. He's excited to play. He understands what the remaining games of this season mean for him, given that he doesn't have a contract going
Right.
into next year.
Yeah, it's a job interview, It's like, how are you going to do? It's everything's going to be under a microscope, and he's got to play his best hockey to earn, a spot, where otherwise, what does he have? One, is he a complete? He's got one RFA year left, right? I think.
Yes.
Right. So, they'll have to make a decision. Like if they feel like he's a part of the team, they could still kick the can down the road and sign him for the RFA contract, or they could just trade him with the one RFA year, which, if they're going to trade him, he's worth more having the RFA year than just being a free agent half season. So again, this is a good extended look at him.
Yeah, I think so. And I think they would be fools to not play him as often
No,
as
you have to play
possible.
him every game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the right approach here, which is going to be an interesting thing to do, given all the other to-dos that the Flyers have, which we're going to be talking about over the next coming week or so, especially with all the other prospects that the Flyers have to get games in for.
Right.
But LTA, absolutely, I agree, he has to play every game going out. Now, Bradshaw also, he did mention his daughter gave birth to their second grandson
Oh, good for him.
in the morning. So he was like on cloud nine the whole day anyway yesterday. But he was able to talk a little bit about Kuzmenko at practice, that he just
Hmm.
felt like he hasn't missed a beat, was flying out there on the ice, which was good to hear.
Yeah.
And, I think that, again, it's kind of a mini audition for him too, and it'll
Well,
be
it's a
interesting to
bigger
see.
audition for him because again, the Flyers could tell us whatever they want. Like, hey, they were maybe going to target him in the offseason. Like, I'm not sure that I'm not sure I fully believe in that. But if he scores a lot of goals down the end of the season, it's going to help him get signed. If he just kind of is like good offensively and not good any other way, it's going to be a hard decision to sign him. So I think that's again why you get an extended look at him.
Yeah, and Shaw was also asked specifically about, the delicate nature of where the Flyers are in the standings. That it seemed, it seems pretty clear
It's a hard
that,
question for him to ask as the assistant, him to
or to
answer as the
answer, yeah,
yeah, as
and
answer as the
but
assistant.
he's the one who's there, so you got to
I
step
know,
up. If you're in the seat, you got to step up, right?
right?
So, he was asked about the playoff race and the difficulty of the position they're in. And, I think John Tortorella has said similar things, but that, they're in it until they're not. And that, he understands that things are different this season than they were last year for sure. And that, there was just a culture difference, which was the first time I've heard him say, or anyone say, that the culture is different this year, which
What had
may
to
have
be
been,
they traded two key culture
yeah,
guys in Frost and Farabee. Again, a lot of people didn't realize how entrenched they were with a lot of these players, and so that's the
yeah.
change.
I mean, it was clear to me, that's for
Yeah.
sure,
Oh
based
yeah, but
on,
I don't think. Yeah, I just don't think everybody equated that when they got traded. I think it was corner. They sort of looked at it on the surface and then started hearing from the players and realizing, yeah,
Yeah, and Bradshaw also said, coaches are judged on wins, but they're focusing on the process now. It's a tougher road this year, but they have to get better as an organization. They have to have individual players make improvements, and there's a lot to talk about on that front for sure. But
Oh yeah.
that's for the end of the season to discuss, and see where everybody is. But
Well, it sounds like
yeah,
Dave Briere had a discussion with Brad about it, though, and that's a good discussion to have because while you're technically focusing on the playoffs, the how the guys are going to be down the road is way more important.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we are going to switch gears and talk Four Nations Championship game coming up next. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts, and each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats. They help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's perfect for grab and go and to eat at your desk at work. I had some friends over for a movie night, and instead of popcorn, we had bowls of these wonderful pistachios and the sweet chili no shells and the salt and vinegar no shells were the favorites of the bunch for sure. They're so delicious and healthy too. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein providing all 9 essential amino acids. These little green wonders pack a protein punch. So get snacking, get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
Well, now we welcome in Matthew Blittner, who's covering the Four Nations for Sportsology.com, also my co-author for the Game Winners book, and a lot of other things. Matthew, how are you?
I'm doing great, Russ. It's nice and chilly up here, and the intensity from between the two teams is really warming everybody up.
I like that.
So, Matthew and I had a chance to watch both Team USA and Team Canada practice the day before the championship game here. And I would say there's big differences between the two teams just in terms of the tone of the practice. I would say Team USA is a lot more serious and a lot more focused, where Team Canada was loose and stick taps and joking with each other or like supporting each other, and it's two very different approaches.
So I wouldn't really say that that's loose or anything. Team Canada has been here before. Not these players necessarily, but these players have won Stanley Cups before. They know what it takes to win. They know that even though they lost on Saturday night, it was still a close game. They know that they can win. Obviously, on the American side, the American is the slight favorite, depending on some sports books and depending on some people who you might talk to. But this very much feels that even though America won Saturday, that they're still somewhat the underdogs here. So they have to take it more seriously because the eyes of the world are watching right now. And if the seismic shift between Team Canada and Team America and Team USA is going to happen, um, USA has to be the ones to pull it out. So they have to be more serious. Canada is playing with house money. The USA is the ones that they have everything to lose, but everything to gain.
I disagree with you. I think Canada's got the weight of a nation on them, and they are going to be tighter. They're going to do like what they normally do. They're going to try and mount up a lead early and hope that they could keep adding on to that, because if they can't, that's when they start to panic. And I think, honestly, the Kachucks have no F's to give, and they play this game the same way in every game. And I don't think Canada has an answer for them. I really don't think they know what to do with them.
No,
Yeah,
they don't. Sorry, they don't have an answer for them, but both Brady and Matthew are a bit compromised physically.
Sure.
So, we'll see, yes, 80% of Matthew and Brady is still better than, your 100% or mine and Rachel's 100%. But Canada will have to have an answer, but it won't have to be the same way that you were thinking that maybe they would have to answer for them on Saturday. It's going to be different.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the ice time looks like for Team Canada in terms of trying to match that physicality happening. And, again, with this being Brad Marchand's building, is he going to get more time here just because of his style of play, in addition to it being his home arena?
So John Cooper actually had something interesting to say about that. And he was asked, about Brad Marchand's role and him almost. The reporter asked him was almost insinuating that Marchand was a bit of a role player, and Cooper actually had a great response. He said that all the players have a role to fill. The role differs from player to player. So that's how he views it, that they're all here together and they all have their role to do. Marchand, is he always known to be a bit of an antagonizer? Sure, but he's also supremely skilled. He can play that game. He can play the game pretty much however you want it. And so John Cooper knows what he's got in Marchand. He knows that in this building, Marchand's going to feed off of it, but he also knows that he's got players up and down the lineup who he can count on depending on what the situation calls for.
I agree with the up and down the lineup. I think Marchand is getting treated like Chris Drury at the end when he was in the Olympics, and they took him because he's Chris Drury, and I think they took Brad Marchand because he's Brad Marchand. But when we watch him play, he's not been very good.
I would agree with that to some extent in terms of his play. I think it's really, though, honestly, as we talked about, that line is a little bit disconnected in terms of, with Bennett and Konecny. So it'll be interesting to see who actually, checks into the game. Of
Mhm.
course, they're not saying anything about that as of Wednesday,
Right.
but I think those are big decisions for Cooper to make for sure. I also think that both coaches really kind of understand what this moment means, like on the ice and off to a large degree. And, I think that John Cooper has said, and even in these particular moments, is trying very hard to keep the outside noise out of his locker room. I think it's a challenge because it's going to seep in there, but that, he said that he understands and that the players do, but they're trying to keep it separate, which is really hard to do just in terms of what it means for Canadians to win this game or potentially win this game.
Well, he's trying to keep it out of his room, but if today's and yesterday are any indication, that he's not really succeeding. Brandon Hagel's comments yesterday about, well, we don't have a group chat, we just play for the flag. Okay, yeah, great that they're playing for the flag, but he had to know that someone from Team USA was going to respond to that. And Matthew Tkachuk did today, in fact, respond. JT Miller did too.
Yeah.
JT Miller actually said, no, I had not heard about that. I have no comment. But Matthew Tkachuk said, well, I guess that those guys over there just don't like each other that much if they don't have a group chat going. And then he went on to say about how, we're here to win. We're here to win a championship as a team. So, the Cooper and Mike Sullivan, you say, they're keeping it out of their room. It's there. It's in the room, and it's just a matter of making sure that it doesn't take away from the prep, but it's there and it's not leaving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that goes to the tone of Team USA's practice about how serious it was because
Mhm.
they also, I think, understand those implications, right, Russ?
Yeah, I mean, no question. They definitely understand the implication, and I do think there's going to be a serious tone from both. But I'll tell you, when I saw the comments and the feedback and all that online, my ultimate feeling was it does seem like Team USA is pulling from the same rope a lot better than Canada because those guys just know each other better. There's more. There's brothers there. There's guys that have played in the system longer. Where Canada's put together more of an all-star team, and I think it takes longer for that to gel, or at least to get that same feeling. So I think that's one of the things that's showing. It may not matter in the game, but I think it's one of those things that's showing. And the other thing that Cooper has to constantly deflect, and in a way I do too, is all the Jordan Binnington talk. Because if he were to give up an early goal and everybody decides to micromanage that and say, "Oh, that's a bad goal," that's all that gets talked about.
Right.
When he gets interviewed, in between periods by Emily Kaplan and everything else, where nobody is talking about Connor Hellebuck, good or bad. Like nobody's saying a word about him.
No, Connor Hellebuck has been nothing but cool, calm, and collected, and
Yeah.
he doesn't miss a beat on the ice or off. It's pretty remarkable to watch given the pressure of this situation.
And I mean, Winnipeg Jets fans are taking note because Hellebuck has struggled in the past. Now, it's not just been him. There's obviously, oh, it's a team game, but he has indeed struggled in the playoffs. But he also, if you look at his numbers and look at his games played, his games started, it's right up there. He's among the league leaders, if not the outright lead leader every year. So he wears down. This is a day and age where goalies, they're playing 50, 55 games. He's constantly more than that. By the time he gets to the playoffs, he's worn out. So Winnipeg Jets fans must be loving the fact that, okay, yeah, he's doing it for Team USA, which they obviously are rooting against. But at the same time, oh, well, he's getting this type of tournament experience and he's playing well. And, they're looking forward to that.
Yeah, he's a pretty workmanlike guy though. Like I watched him when he was a young guy at the rookie photo shoot, and his gear was all the way up 3 levels up. He was getting shot. He carried that gear all the way down by himself. Nobody helped him. I remember taking a picture of it. Like I can't believe this guy's doing this. And then when you do interview him, like I remember interviewing him during the pandemic because he was a Vezina candidate, and he was like, "I expect to win the Vezina every year." Goalies may feel that, but no, goalies don't usually say that. And he pretty much is in the conversation most years. So I feel like he's just got the right tone for this. It's hard to be the USA goalie in this. It's hard to be the Canadian goalie, but it's hard to be the USA goalie, especially when it's kind of like Hellebuck or bust. Nobody's even thinking about bringing in a backup for him.
No, and I actually talked to Jake Ottinger after practice today, and he was just so thrilled to have gotten the one game that he
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
and that he talked about the USA goalies working together in terms of training and making sure that Connor Hellebuck had the preparation that he needed, but also they were learning from each other in terms of training techniques and drills and all of the different things that they can take back to their own game. But Ottinger was like, yeah, we know what the mission is here. All right, we'll have more on the Four Nations final coming up next.
The funny thing is you're in a college town, and all these goalies that we're talking about were all college star goalies. Like it's a pretty amazing thing.
Not just the goalies, a lot of the guys on Team USA also,
Oh
a
yeah,
lot of college stars, especially in this area. I mean, look, we talked with Jack Eichel earlier today, and Eichel played. I don't want to say it's just down the road, but in this area as well. And Chris Kreider played in this area. A number of the guys have, and to them, it holds extra meaning
hmm
to have this type of game and this type of moment in
Yeah.
this area because of how much it means to them. It's not just like winning a Stanley Cup in their own home building. It's, this is where they took those steps towards being their future star selves, and now they're back as stars, attempting to do it again.
Yeah, it's been really interesting, like having all the Massachusetts guys or the people that went to college here talking about all of that. One of the other interesting topics that came up with pretty much everybody got asked about the extra day in between the previous games and the final. And I think, I expected more people, honestly, to say, "I want to play tonight. I want to do this. I'm ready." I think everybody has been really appreciative, given the injuries, given the illnesses, of the extra time that they have to prepare and to rest.
Well, think about it like this. If they were playing tonight and everything else remains the same, this was going to be a very one-sided affair, and not in a good way for Team USA. Because they need the reinforcements. They need that extra day. They were grateful to have that extra day in order
Yeah,
to help heal. If
I think so.
the game was tonight, we're talking 6-1 in Canada, plain and simple.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't
There's
know.
a
That's
hell
a
of a
little drastic. I'm
I
not
think
sure about that.
I think it'd be a lot closer than that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I think that's a little drastic.
Okay, but yes, I'll admit I'm being a little drastic on that, but you see my point. This
Sure,
the
extra day helps them, no
the
question.
extra day is helping them very, very much, and they need it.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
they do.
sorry, Matthew, but we have to talk about the Philadelphia Flyers in this game on Locked On Flyers here. But uh, I talked to Travis Konecny on Tuesday, and I talked to Travis Sanheim on Wednesday, about the emotions and getting ready, and both of them honestly have been so happy that they have each other here,
Hmm.
and are going through this experience together and sharing this experience together. We'll put a clip of my conversation with Travis Sanheim in right about now. You guys seemed pretty loose out there in practice just now. Is that like kind of the attitude you're going with, like focused but loose?
Yeah, I think it's just how this group is. I think we're having a lot of fun together, enjoying playing with each other, and it's made practice a lot easier just to go out and have fun out there. The game's going to be what tomorrow night, and we'll be focused and dialed in and ready to go.
How are you managing your emotions with like the extra day and the build-up?
Yeah, I think it's not worrying about it too much. We've all been through similar situations, and just enjoying the days, the rest and the recovery that we get, and then being ready for the game when it comes. And we know the emotion's going to be there, and it was on Saturday night. It's going to be much the same tomorrow.
And what was it like to finally get a game together with TK?
Yeah, obviously we've been through a lot together. We've built a really good friendship, and just to be able to share the same ice with wearing that jersey means a lot to us. And he's been a guy that I've been able to lean on a lot over my career. So a lot of fun, and looking forward to getting to share it again tomorrow night.
And lastly, what do you think you guys will bring back with you to the Flyers from this experience?
Yeah, just some different lessons that we've learned, whether it's from players, coaches, on and off the ice. Just the ability to play at this level, play with these teammates, and really looking forward to what anything we're able to do going back to Philly. Travis
Sanheim, like he just has like the best attitude about all of this.
Always.
And you could see it in his practice, you could see it in his discipline, and I think that like he gets what all of this means, and I'm looking forward to watching him play in the game, and we'll see if Travis Konecny gets it.
Right. I mean, the one thing about Sanheim is he's had a rough go with it with the coach, especially early on. So he's been through the wars. Like, he gets it.
Yeah, look, when you're talking about guys like Sanheim, guys like Konecny, this is the type of tournament where they're gonna get overlooked, not because, and it's not their fault. It's just people naturally gravitate towards the bigger names, the Connor McDavid, the Sidney Crosbys, the Austin Matthews, but you don't win a tournament based upon the bigger names. You win a tournament based upon the guys like a Konecny, like a Sanheim. So, look for tomorrow night for someone like that to have a big impact in the final outcome.
Yeah, I think so. Now, as far as readiness goes for these teams, obviously we talked about having the extra day of rest as it relates to Team USA and Team Canada to some degree in terms of, people being sick and whatnot. But the latest as of recording this episode on the Quinn Hughes situation is that he was not medically cleared by Vancouver. So it seems like Team USA may have to scramble to find another alternate for the game.
It was always a stretch to think that Quinn Hughes was coming in to play Superman, to play Savior. When Mike Sullivan announced yesterday, mid-sentence, that Quinn Hughes was coming back, everyone in the room literally dropped their phones from recording to go to Twitter to be like, oh my goodness, Quinn Hughes coming back. There were people who were making WWE wrestling references, being like, it's the Undertaker's music, it's Kane coming back. No, it was always going to be a stretch. Once he was not on the plane yesterday, you knew something was up. And then he practiced with Vancouver yesterday. He stayed in Vancouver today. And then his agent said, oh, it was a very difficult decision, but, we had to make this decision. He's not medically cleared. And so Team USA is going to have to look elsewhere. Right now, although everyone was present and accounted for except for Charlie McAvoy, who obviously is out, and Brady Tkachuk, who we've been told is going to play tomorrow. So at the moment, Team USA can bring in whoever they want to be on standby, but whoever they bring in is not eligible to play. So at the moment, the focus needs to be on the guys who are here on the ice, not who might hypothetically come in.
Well, I mean, okay, that's true but somebody could get ill overnight, right? So you got to bring the guys in for that. One of mine is a real easy one, Matt Grzelcyk. I mean, his dad drives a Zamboni, and he probably still lives in the Boston area because he's on the Penguins. He'd be an easy one. He's probably still in town. And then, Rachel, the other one would be Nick Seeler. Like, you can call this guy anywhere, and he'll show up for a hockey game. And I think just you have those guys there just in case, because if there is flu or something running through the room, you have to have a way of putting guys in. You don't want to go short in a game like this.
Well, and obviously Nick Seeler is back in Philadelphia
Yeah.
right now, so it's not that far away.
Nope.
I think, that would be quite a reach for him, but I think,
I mean, it's just last minute, it's like
Yeah.
last minute, and he knows the
if
coach.
anything's
It's
on the
easy.
table, sure,
it's an-
why not Nick
Yeah.
Seeler?
I mean, if you're gonna just start throwing out names, I mean, obviously his name has not been bandied about. This is not coming from any This is not coming from any source
None
or
of these
report or
are.
anything. What I'm about to
Right.
say.
None of these
But,
are.
but if you asked some of the Team USA defensemen who they would want to come back, you could ask Adam Fox. The very first name he's going to say is Ryan Lindgren. The two of them have played together since they were 13 years
Sure.
old. And so if you went up to Adam Fox and said, hypothetically, who would you want to be flying here to come play? He's going to say Ryan Lindgren 10 out of 10 times.
But he's had a bad year. That's the only problem with Ryan Lindgren. He's had a really bad year.
But
Yeah.
Look, anyone can have one good game if
I know.
it came
I
down
know.
to it.
I mean, there is
Yeah.
continuity there, no doubt.
And he certainly has the experience in playing and stuff, as well as the familiarity with playing like a guy like Fox. And he brings that sandpaper that Team USA seems to like.
Yeah, so final predictions, Matthew?
I'm going to go with what I want rather than what I am hoping against. I would like to see Team USA pull out a 3-2 overtime victory.
I don't know if I can handle overtime in this game personally.
Oh, you know
but-
it has to come down to overtime. This
Well, it
game,
will,
this
because
whole
I don't
tournament,
wanna-
this game has to come down to overtime.
It will, because I won't want to stay up for that and then have to do a late show. And so it's going to go to overtime. I'll say I think 4-3 US. And I don't know who's going to get this golden goal. Sorry, I'm going to say it. But I do think it's a 4-3 US.
I hope both of you are correct, but I'm going to say it's going to be 4-2 Canada, just
Okay.
because I'm going with the whoever wins the prelim game doesn't win the championship game theory of hockey tournaments.
Well, I have to throw in one thing here. Russ, what was the score of the Miracle on Ice game? Was it 3-2 or was it 4-3?
I want to say it was 4-3.
Okay, so with all the comparisons that everyone's making between the 1980 team and the Miracle on Ice and this, in fact, Mike Sullivan even was asked today about the impact of the 1980 team, and he said, that inspired his generation of players. There were guys who played on that team who were at BU before him, and now to see it still inspiring guys who are currently playing for Team USA, even though their recollections are only from the movie, of course. But it shows that, and how poetic would it be if the game was a 4-3 final, if it had the same.
If
final
that's the score, I'm guessing. I sounds right, but who
Well,
knows?
it was either 3-2 or 4-3. It was one of
Yeah.
the two. So either way, how poetic would it be?
Yeah. No, I think people would look. It's not the same as that, but since it hasn't happened in such a long time, Rachel, it does make it close.
It does feel like that, for sure, in terms of it being a long time since we've
Yes.
had a best on best game like this. So it should be a doozy. We're going to talk about it tomorrow for sure, along with many other things. Matthew, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much for
Matt.
having me on. And we'll see what happens in T-minus 28 hours.
From recording, yes.
Yes.
Thanks once again to Matthew for joining us to talk Four Nations. Always fun to get another opinion in the mix, right, Russ?
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have all these different opinions, and you guys are there, and so yeah, I think it's helpful.
All right. Well, that will do it for today's show. We will be back tomorrow to talk about that championship game, how it went. We're going to preview a Flyers versus Oilers matchup, which again, I still don't believe is actually happening. I'll believe it on Saturday when they drop the puck, I guess. And we'll have a lot more as well from here in Boston. As a reminder, we always want to hear from you. You can send in your mailbag questions or Flyers thoughts to any of our socials at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com or comment over on our YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology at the same socials, SPORTSOLOGY.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen today. For your next listen, find Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert. Get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, everyone.